We recently introduced some important changes to our youth development system, and we thought now would be a good time to explain how the new setup will work and how we've got to here. Most supporters will probably know until a few years ago Raith Rovers had its own youth academy, which was an initiative level academy within the SFA Club Academy Scotland system. That's below the top level, which is the elite level. And being at the initiative level meant it was increasingly difficult for us to attract and keep the best players and best coaches. We all know every parent wants the best for their kids, and on many occasions we lost players to the bigger teams and ended up with local kids getting driven all across the country to get to these top academies so they could play against other top young players in the country. The SFA have been clear that they want to focus on quality rather than quantity in the academy system, and they have developed the best v best concept. That is that the best young players play and train alongside each other in every game and every training session, and that these players are supported by the best coaches too. The ultimate aim of this is to ensure that every player in the academy system throughout Scotland has the best chance and a realistic chance of being a professional football player. And the reality for Raith Rovers is that to compete at the elite level requires a significant financial investment, and we simply didn't have enough resources at the club to fund an academy at that level on our own. So it made sense to pool the resources with other senior clubs in Fife so we could also operate at the elite level. So in 2014 we formed the Fife Elite Football Academy, which is led by former Scotland international Stephen Wright.
My role was the head of youth development, so I'm looking to bring players into the academy. The Fife Elite Academy starts at under 11s. We can sign players when they're 10 years old. So we have under 11s, under 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, and then it jumps to a dual age band, 16s and 17s. After they get to the end of under 17 seasons, that's when the clubs come in. And we basically feed into the 4 clubs of the Fife Elite Football Academy. The reason the Fife Elite Football Academy was formed was part of the SFA. Its programme is to cut the number of elite players in Scotland, and it made sense for the 5 clubs to amalgamate, to bring all the players into one, which gives the local players in Fife a chance to play at the elite level. And this is the end of our second season now, and we've had a lot of good outputs of the players that are getting contracts. Again, this season we're managing to get 7 players into the 3 clubs. So within the 2 years that we've started, we've had 12 players who've managed to get contracts out of the academy, which is fantastic for everybody involved at the academy. And we're giving the players in Fife the opportunity to play at an elite level, and we're now seeing the fruits and the benefits of having that by having players getting contracts at the end of the under 17 season.
FIFA is now beginning to bear fruit, and we've already signed our first players from the academy. It's well funded and well organised, and the players are certainly getting top level coaching. They get to use the top facilities, and in recent times some of the players have even travelled to other training facilities in Europe. Identified in recent years from speaking to coaches and managers in this club and elsewhere is that there's a huge gulf, there's a gap between coming out of the academy where you play and train with other 16 and 17 year olds to being in the first team environment, where you play alongside experienced professional players that can sometimes be as much as twice your age in some cases. We found that this can be such a challenge to some young players that rather than continue to develop, they actually go backwards, and many never make it to first team football through no fault of their own. The reason for this is that up until now there's not been a formal process in place to keep the development going, to support them and to prepare them for first team football. For that reason we decided to create a separate development squad to bridge this gap, to support these young players make the transition from academy football or other areas of youth football to first team football. And we need to make sure that these young players get the time and the attention they need to prepare them for life as a professional player. Crucially, they will have a dedicated development squad coach and we hope to announce who will be taking on this role in the next few days. And at this point, things will really start to move into place. The plan is to have 2-year groups, each of around 6 apprentices. And because of this, it's going to be next summer before we reach the full complement of 12 players when the second year intake comes in. This is obviously going to cost money, approximately 110,000 once the development squad is fully up and running. The board are keen to support the project. We think it's the right thing to do. But we're wary about taking funds away from the first team. And for that reason, the board decided to contribute about half the funds out of existing revenue, but then offer supporters the chance to help fund the difference through making regular contributions and help develop the stars of tomorrow. And that's why Dave Wan has led on the creation of the Youth Development Fund.
Well, the improvement of the player pathway through the creation of the player development squad will cost £60,000 per year more than the club currently spends on youth football. The board has therefore launched a player development fund appeal in order to raise a continuous stream of funding for this purpose. You as a supporter can play your part by setting up a monthly standing order for £10 or whatever you can afford. There are several simple ways of doing this. These are set out on the club website. Alternatively, you can pick up a form at the office at Starks Park. As we say on match days, let's get right behind the Rovers.
We believe that by operating in the elite level in the SFA's Club Academy Scotland setup, and by putting the development squad with a dedicated coach in place to support our young players and apprentices, gives us the best chance of finding, keeping and developing young talent, young players that can and will feature in the Raith Rovers first team.
It's a massive thing for the club. It's one thing obviously just being new to the job. It's something that I've sat with the directors and spoke about, and it's a huge thing, especially with all the young players that are in the surrounding area. For me, I've worked at clubs and you see the benefits of having a youth development manager, because you get young lads in your club at 16, they're certainly not ready to come straight into the first team squad. And the problem that we've had at Raith Rovers in the last few years, we've produced some really talented players as the first team scene at the moment, but they haven't really had the development of maybe the players that are at Celtic, Rangers, Hearts and Hibs. So it's vital that we get someone in place, so that when the lads are coming in at 16, they're going to be trained every day by a proper coach. They're going to be in the gym and doing strength and conditioning sessions that will be overlooked by the coach. And obviously we'll keep a close eye on them as well, because when they come in, they're young lads, they're still developing, and it's important that if we get them in the first team squad, which me and Darren are really keen to do, we would certainly feel that it's beneficial if you can get a local lad, develop them and get them into the first team. I think that's what the fans want to see. So if the fans here are being asked to put their hands in their pockets to try and help us get this position in place, it's massive for the club. And hopefully in 4 or 5 years time we can be producing our own players, and hopefully making them better players, and maybe even selling them for good money that will move the club forward in the right direction. And I think it's great the board are showing huge ambition in my opinion and producing this position, and hopefully in years to come we can maybe have 10-12 players on the ground staff that are all looking to go and strive to have a really good career, whether it be at Raith Rovers or somewhere else. But it's a massive part of the club, and something that we're really keen to get moving on, because the sooner we get this guy in place, hopefully we'll see the benefits of the young players coming through.
We hope fans can get behind the new setup and contribute if they can, and we believe that we'll see the benefits on the pitch at Starks Park in the near future, and hopefully for many years to come.